What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for stopping by the channel today. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is October 23rd, 2021. I am JD from New York. This is Off The Script. We have a lot to get into today, including the big one. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch backstage altercation coming out of SmackDown last night, with that segment where they embarrassingly swapped the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. We're going to go over everything regarding that situation and what happened at the end of SmackDown, with Charlotte Flair walking out on Vince McMahon and WWE, heading right to Orlando to go be with Andrade and support him during tonight's Saturday Night Dynamite, man. It's going to be a big, big deal, this story, as we now are looking at Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch as Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions going into Survivor Series. Did WWE royally mess this up? And we talked about this on the Thursday night stream with Crown Jewel. They had one thing to do, and they did not do it. I got all the information and my honest opinion on everything regarding that situation today on the podcast. Also, what I got lined up: TakeOver may be officially dead. There is no internal calendar for TakeOver at all as we head into the first quarter of 2022. AEW and Impact's partnership may be over after tonight's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. I got news on that. The original plan for Hit Row on Friday Night SmackDown. And WWE is making several changes to several individuals on the roster as we head into a quote-unquote new era of WWE. I got who those people are and what WWE's plans are right here on OTS. Make sure you guys follow me on social media. That is at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. If you guys missed any of the content on the channel already this week, Monday Night Raw, we had Crown Jewel on Thursday, Rampage and SmackDown last night. We're going to have Dynamite tonight live in the venue. Jesse and I will be covering Dynamite. Don't know how I'm going to do that with the Braves and Dodgers Game 6, but I am a man of many talents, so we'll figure it out. But I will be live after Dynamite tonight with Jesse covering the post-show. And then I will have more extras throughout the weekend, man. It seems like it's going to be a very busy weekend in the world of professional wrestling. So make sure you guys turn on that bell and hit that subscribe button. We got you covered right here on Off The Script. And let's hit that thumbs up, man. Let's try for 1,500 likes on today's video. That is the goal. So please go out and do that. For me, it's the best way to support the channel, and it helps everybody out, man. So hit that thumbs up. Let's start at the top, man. We got Jim Ross. Thoughts and prayers go out to Jim Ross. Hall of Famer Jim Ross diagnosed with skin cancer, as he officially confirmed this on social media this afternoon. Jim Ross noted on Twitter that he's been diagnosed with skin cancer. This is not the first skin cancer diagnosis he's had, and he has beat this in the past and likely will again. Ross previously noted that the latest skin cancer battle is something he's been dealing with for well over a year. Ross seems to be in good spirits as he's headed to tonight's AEW Dynamite to do work on the commentary side of things. He is in Orlando, and he tweeted this, and I quote, "On my way to Orlando for tonight's AEW Dynamite. Skin cancer confirmed. Waiting on radiologist study to determine best treatment, likely radiation. Feeling great and ready to attack. Thanks for the support from so many," end quote. Obviously, well wishes, best wishes, thoughts and prayers go out to good old JR. He will beat this, and he will be back in that commentary position 100% healthy before you know it, man. So shout out to Jim Ross. Thoughts on his diagnosis with skin cancer. The greatest play-by-play announcer of all time, Jim Ross. And he will beat this. Thoughts and prayers from the OTS family to good old JR. An encore episode. This is funny, man. An encore episode of WWE SmackDown will air on Saturday night, tonight, on Fox, head-to-head with AEW Dynamite. There are so many people in this community that are in denial that there is competition between AEW and WWE. I seen this tweet, and I simply put, because I'm an asshole, Not really, but I like to be an asshole on social media. I said, man, oh man, you guys are going to do anything to just pretend that you're not competition to AEW. Tony Khan has you guys on string so badly, laughing my ass off. I put something on Twitter in regards to this tweet from Fox and WWE, and all of the WWE stans, the neckbeards, the absolute fucking lowest of the low come out on social media. It is so hilarious. And they come off in a way as if they work for the company. Their replies are as if they work for the company. Oh, well, Fox is only doing this because they all figured that there'd be a Game 7 for the Red Sox and the Houston Astros. WWE, they're paying $2 billion for WWE. They can use it however they want. Everything that deflects my original post. AEW is competition to WWE, and WWE continues to deny that as being a factual statement. So WWE and Fox are airing a replay of SmackDown tonight during Saturday Night Dynamite. It's great. It's great. When have they ever gone and went out and executed something like this? Yes, because conveniently there's a Saturday Night Dynamite tonight, and you are airing a replay of a SmackDown that consisted of 18 fucking minutes of pro wrestling in a 2-hour show. So much so that the match between Pac and Andrade El Idolo had more wrestling in it than the entire 2-hour show of SmackDown. No, but please tell me how WWE is not competition for AEW. Yes, because Fox thought that the Red Sox and Houston Astros were going to a game. Why would you think that? Why would you go into that game thinking that you're going to get a Game 7 and not have a fucking backup plan? It's ridiculous. There were baseball games contracted to TBS last year, okay? I'm not saying that in this same time last year Dynamite was preempted, but everything that WWE has done and reacted to in regards to AEW, it shows you that they are bothered by AEW, and Tony Khan has them on strings. It's the simple fact of the matter, folks. This is not a Fox thing only. I'm sure it's a Fox thing, but this is a AEW thing as well. Stop denying the fucking truth. It's staring you right in the face. So tonight's encore episode of SmackDown will also include a special look at Crown Jewel. Yes, because WWE has Crown Jewel air on Peacock, right? Also, this has nothing to do with it, I'm sure. Crown Jewel aired on Peacock, which is an NBC Universal affiliate, right? That's their platform. And everybody raved how great Crown Jewel was. So you don't think Fox wants to get in on the Crown Jewel hype and get some Crown Jewel love on their station as well? Give me a fucking break, people. You people are mental. You're mental. Tonight's encore will also air a special look at Crown Jewel, according to WWE. WWE airs encore episodes every week on FS1, but the move to Fox this week is unusual and could likely affect the rating for Dynamite that airs in the same time slot on TNT. Game 7 of the Astros-Red Sox ALCS was scheduled for tonight, but the series wrapped up last night, so Fox needed something to fill in on that time tonight. There's no other game, football game, hockey game, whatever. There's nothing else on. No, let's air a shitty episode of SmackDown that may go down as one of the worst SmackDowns of the entire year. No, but please tell me how AEW is not competition. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. This is definitely an AEW thing. It might not be 100%, but it's definitely a part of the AEW effect. Tony Khan continues to be a puppet master for everything WWE related. Halloween Havoc. WWE is planning a special presentation of NXT Halloween Havoc on Tuesday nights. This is October 26th. This might be the last special NXT event of the year since there are no takeovers currently scheduled on the calendar, and rightfully so, because this version of NXT doesn't deserve to muddy the name of TakeOver. The company obviously wants to pop a big rating, and they're pulling out a fan favorite to pad the numbers on Tuesday night. Halloween Havoc will feature several title matches, and we could see someone like Braun Breaker really pushed to the next level, bury NXT, the old NXT, once and for all. NXT wants to build new characters, and Halloween Havoc will give them the perfect opportunity to do so. According to Andrew Zarian of the Matman podcast, WWE is likely going to present the first part of Halloween Havoc in a commercial-free format. It is not expected to be a long commercial-free airing, but the first half an hour will likely not include any commercial breaks. Expects the first 30 minutes of Halloween Havoc to go commercial-free on USA Network Tuesday night. WWE has pulled their commercial-free gimmick in the past many times. It seems to help, not by much, but it definitely seems to help. They most recently tried it against AEW Rampage as SmackDown ran 30 minutes longer on FS1 last week. Obviously, the tactic didn't really work because AEW beat them in the 18-49 and the 18-34 demographic, which WWE then denied around the offices in Stamford, Connecticut the following week. But please continue to tell me how AEW is not competition. You can't deny the fact and the numbers staring you right in the face. You lost. Move on with your day. So WWE is doing a 30-minute commercial-free Halloween Havoc. I'll be tuning in. I'll be live on Tuesday. It's supposed to be a big night. Braun Breaker more than likely going to win the NXT Championship. We may get a new women's champion in Mandy Rose over Raquel Gonzalez. We may get the group of Toxic Attraction winning all the titles. I believe they actually have a tag team title match for the women's division as well on that show. So it seems to be a big deal. It honestly may be a changing of the guard. Like I said before in the past, Tommaso Ciampa is the heart and soul of this brand. He is the NXT champion, and with his defeat and Goldie now going to Braun Breaker, it's almost a symbolic change that whatever is left of Triple H's NXT is now going to go to Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, as they are now finally completely in control with a guy that they specifically handpicked personally to be at the top of the card, NXT champion in Braun Breaker. That's just the way I see it. I know a lot of people agree with me, but it does sound a little conspiracy theory-ish, but it's just the way it is. This is not the same version of NXT. This is a Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard product, and they're going to make sure that it is completely one-sided, and Triple H and everything that he has done and all of Triple H's guys are completely out of the picture. I will be watching. It should be a good night. Should be a big night, and it should be a newsworthy night, so I will be live here on Tuesday night for Halloween Havoc right here in the venue on Off The Script. Speaking of TakeOver, I mentioned TakeOver. There is no TakeOver listed on the WWE calendar. Now, as I reported a couple of days ago, WWE has decided to cancel the TLC pay-per-view for this year in December. Instead, WWE is now simply going with day one on January 1, and that will kind of be considered the December pay-per-view for WWE. They didn't want to have something happen in December, third week in, and then go right into a day one pay-per-view. It doesn't make any sense. It's still unclear whether WWE will hold another special sometime in 2022. And this marks the first time that WWE has not had a pay-per-view in the month of December since 1995. So that's pretty interesting there. The update to the calendar has no TakeOver pay-per-view listed internally for November or December. Like I said, WWE, they could hold specials for NXT whenever they want in place of these takeovers. I don't think anybody is going to watch a takeover with this current roster. I don't think a takeover really could be built with this current roster. There's so much that isn't working right now. Everything is in an incubation phase. Takeovers were tag-along pay-per-views for the main roster. If WWE was running a WrestleMania in Tampa, NXT and Triple H would find a venue of 15,000, 16,000 people and sell it out for what they were presenting for NXT TakeOver. You're not going to be able to do that with this current roster and this current version of NXT run by Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. If you take these guys out of the Performance Center, nobody is going to go and watch a takeover like they used to when Triple H was in charge and sell out an arena. It's not going to happen. And why do you want TakeOver to be on a lesser scale, a lower scale than what we know it to be? TakeOver died when the pandemic took TakeOver and forced it into the Performance Center. in front of empty crowds, in front of 300, 400 crowds, people in the crowd. It's dead. TakeOver will never be the same, especially now with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard running the show. Nobody is going to go pay a ticket to go sit there live, and nobody's going to have any vested interest in a TakeOver with this current roster. Special events is what WWE should really do with this roster until it is mature enough to maybe contemplate taking it to that next level and venture off and start doing takeovers again. I'm not saying the roster isn't good enough to get there, but right now you deviated away so far from what Triple H did that anything regarding a takeover will be an embarrassment. So I'm glad that they're doing these special events. Do a Halloween Havoc, do a Bash at the Beach, do a Great American Bash, whatever you want to come up with. Come up with something new that's not WCW related. So I think that's the best course of action for NXT right now. Takeovers, keep them off the calendar until the brand is ready for that type of environment once again. Survivor Series November 21, Day 1, January 1, and then the Royal Rumble January 29. That is the only, those are the only 3 pay-per-views right now listed internally on the WWE pay-per-view calendar. AEW and Impact's partnership seems to be over. After Bound for Glory, AEW opened up the forbidden door as wrestlers from other companies were able to perform under Tony Khan's roof. He also sent several of his own stars to other promotions, but doors can also close just as fast as they open. It appears that Bound for Glory will be a significant time for that story. Christian Cage, an AEW talent, is currently Impact World Heavyweight Champion. He will battle Josh Alexander tonight at Bound for Glory. Ringside News has been told that AEW and Impact Wrestling's deal is ending after Bound for Glory. Ringside News was not given any specific information about what this means for the future, especially with people like Christian Cage and Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers. They've been appearing on both Impact and AEW. What does this mean for the Good Brothers, being that they've been such a focus in the Elite? Now, Christian Cage is an AEW talent. He'll go right back to AEW, but what does this mean for Gallows and Anderson? Nobody knows right now. A trusted source close to the situation informed us at Ringside News that the partnership is ending after Bound for Glory. Unless something changes, it appears that the companies will stop sharing talent after Bound for Glory on October 23rd. Wrestling fans will have to choose between a Saturday Night Dynamite tonight and a Bound for Glory show. Obviously, you got the Braves and the Dodgers. There's going to be a big, big Saturday night. And both of these wrestling shows are on at the same time. Ringside News was not able to confirm that this has anything to do with their impending split, but it is still an interesting situation. Unless AEW and Impact can work something out, the one match that I care to see is Britt Baker versus Deonna Purrazzo, and the efforts of those two women to really get this to happen, it may not be successful. The cross-promotional match may not happen for both Impact and AEW. There is obviously a lot more to this situation. Ringside News says that they will update us as soon as they have more information, and they will continue to monitor this story coming out of Bound for Glory. There really wasn't much of a partnership to begin with. You know, it was a very one-sided partnership, if you want me to be honest with you. Who benefited from Impact and AEW's partnership? AEW didn't really benefit from Impact's partnership. They didn't. No matter how much of a fan you are of Impact Wrestling did nothing to benefit AEW. It only benefited Kenny Omega. That's the only person it really benefited. It benefited Christian Cage. Christian Cage is a little bit better off now as Impact champion instead of just being another mid-card guy on AEW. He seems to be playing a little bit more of an important role. He's got a veteran presence. He's a great professional wrestler that is going to help aid in getting Josh Alexander over. That's fine and good, but as a brand overall, what has AEW benefited from with Impact Wrestling's partnership? Nothing. The only ones that this benefited is Impact Wrestling, because they had Kenny Omega on their show. They were able to promote Kenny Omega on pay-per-view, wrestling guys like Rich Swann and Moose. It benefited Impact because Kenny Omega was on their weekly television show in segments building towards these big matches that happened on Impact TV. These matches were never built up on AEW Dynamite. You never heard a fucking peep about any of these matches with Rich Swann and Moose over on Impact side on AEW. You never heard anything on TNT in regards to anything going on here. The only thing that happened here was Kenny Omega benefited because it took his storyline to the next level as the belt collector. And it maintained how great he was for the Elite and how unstoppable he's been in AEW. But that's about it. It's been a very one-sided partnership. Now, the only dream match that I really care to see is Deonna Purrazzo versus Britt Baker. The only really big-name guy over on Impact side of things that I want to see come over, or I would have liked to see come over, but he's injured, and nothing was really worked out when he was not injured. I don't know if there would be things that could be worked out if he comes back. I would like to see him on AEW television is Sami Callihan. Get Callihan over. Have him go one-on-one with a Lance Archer or a Jon Moxley. That would be interesting television. I think Sami Callihan would fit like a glove on AEW Dynamite. But that's the only thing I really cared to see coming out of this Impact partnership. Impact benefited, AEW did not. It did not make AEW better at all. And I'm very curious to know why it's ending after Bound for Glory. Does this mean that AEW really doesn't see any more value in using Impact? Not like they were getting anything back, like I said, with the partnership. Or is now Impact too good for AEW? They don't need AEW anymore. They got the Titan coming in. Braun Strowman coming in, heavily rumored to be debuting tonight at Bound for Glory. Do they think with guys like that coming in, Buddy Murphy may be coming in? Do they think right now they're at a good place that they don't need anything from AEW anymore? They don't need any more AEW talent. They don't need any more headlines with Impact and AEW sharing the spotlight. I don't know. But we're going to go right back to having these companies separated. As long as they are on good terms, the door will always be open. AEW and New Japan, that door is seemingly still open. That's the door I want to be pushed open just a little bit more. And Okada, and Ibushi, and Evil. Oh, Will Ospreay coming on in. Those are the guys I want to see in AEW. Those are the guys I want to see in America. Those are the guys that are going to make an impact. I don't think anybody from Impact side of thing coming over to AEW is going to really move the needle. Or vice versa. Kenny Omega moved the needle a little bit. Kenny Omega gave them pay-per-view buys more so than they would originally get. But that's about it. AEW was never in a position to use anybody on their side to send them to Impact Wrestling. Why would they whore their roster out to Impact Wrestling? Just a very weird relationship or a partnership that these two had. But the New Japan door is the door that I think we all want to open for obvious reasons. I don't think anybody on Impact side of things would have come over to AEW and really made that type of impact compared to the bigger guys and the bigger names over in New Japan. So we'll see what happens. Ringside News is going to closely monitor this situation. And if Deonna Purrazzo is still able to come over and if Sami Callihan is still able to come over, then I would welcome them in AEW with open arms. So we'll keep a close eye on that situation coming out of Bound for Glory. Hit Row. They debuted on SmackDown very unceremoniously. Nothing really important happened there. They squashed two local enhancement talents from Wichita, Kansas. Isaiah Swerve Scott and Bottom Dollar teamed up to defeat two local jobbers. This wasn't what WWE had originally planned for them on the show. Instead, Sean Ross Sapp noted on Twitter that they were slated to take on Jinder Mahal and Shanky on SmackDown. As of this writing, there's no word on why WWE changed from Mahal and Shanky to the local indie jobbers. It was reported yesterday that WWE's plans are to use Bottom Dollar as a singles guy, while Scott and Ashanti Theodonis will be the tag team moving forward for WWE on SmackDown, because using Top Dollar in a singles role is going to really be a great thing that people are going to just flock to come and watch, right? The guy is as green as the money he thinks he has. This guy's going nowhere. He'll be in catering in about 6 weeks. I think putting him in a tag team is probably best for his career at this stage of the game. His very infancy stage of his career. This guy needs to be in a tag team. Ashanti Adonis is the one that's going to carry that tag team. He's very good. Swerve and his talents should not be hidden or suppressed in a tag team. This guy was a solo act on NXT. There's no reason to change the dynamic now that they're on the main roster. I see this being a quick and easy burial for Hit Row on Friday night. Now, as far as the Jinder Mahal and Shanky original match, I'm glad that they changed it. I think enhancement talent matches are a lost in translation type of thing on professional wrestling TV, especially WWE. This is the type of match that they need to win. And with every enhancement match that they have, they should really have harder and harder enhancement matches. These guys started off, they were two bumps, two jobbers. You got to see what they're made of. You got to see how they moved in the ring. You got to see their entrance and hear their theme music and hear them cut a promo. Fine. But don't keep this for the next 4 or 5 weeks with the same amount of enhancement talent. You can't put them in the ring with somebody like Jinder Mahal and Shanky. SmackDown's roster right now is so weak coming out of the draft that there's nobody on the card that is even remotely close to resembling a credible threat to Roman Reigns. I'm not saying that Jinder Mahal or Shanky or whoever is involved here is going to be a threat to Roman Reigns, but you also don't want to bury somebody who is also a former WWE champion, one of the worst WWE champions of all time, but you don't want to bury a former WWE champion with somebody like Jinder Mahal and Shanky going out there and losing immediately to someone like Hit Row. Nobody knows Hit Row. They don't really deserve to beat somebody who is a former WWE champion when nobody knows who the fuck Hit Row is. So why would you go and do that? It would mean nothing for Hit Row, and it would actually show off how terrible Jinder Mahal and Shanky really are in the eyes of the fans. Nobody wants to do that. It is a counterproductive move to put Jinder Mahal and Shanky in there with somebody like Hit Row on day one. They could work up to that, have them win 5, 6, 7 matches, and then give them somebody like Jinder Mahal. At that point, we'll be accustomed to who they are and what they can do in the ring. So I like that move. I thought WWE, typically, they don't really make things that, or do things that make a lot of sense, but this was a move that made sense. Enhancement talent, get the new group over, and continue to do this until we get accustomed to seeing them on Friday night. This was a good move. And Jinder Mahal and Shanky, no matter how much we think that they are trash, they didn't really deserve to go out there and lose in 2 minutes to a team that nobody knows. Several turns and changes are being made to the roster following Crown Jewel. PW Insider is now reporting that there are several plans and changes that WWE will put into motion now that the rosters will start to take effect. PW Insider is reporting that Xia Li, who has portrayed a heel character as part of the Tion Shaw group in NXT, will be portrayed as a babyface on the SmackDown roster. Filling the opposite role will be Shotzi Blackheart, who is set to serve as a heel on SmackDown following her split with Tegan Nox in the draft. Tegan Nox went to Monday Night's Raw. Nox will remain a babyface in their women's division. Mia Yim was also drafted to Raw, and she too will serve as a babyface in the women's division on Monday nights. It is also being reported that using Isaiah Scott and Ashanti Adonis, that will be Hit Row's tag team. Another duo that is reportedly set to enter the tag team ranks is former Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. I don't really understand that. That's another tag team that isn't really a tag team. We have too many of these makeshift tag teams. Apollo Crews and Aziz are not a tag team. Omos and AJ Styles are not a tag team. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle are not a tag team. This is WWE masking the fucking problem that is staring them and has been staring them in the face for many years. Stop skimping on tag team wrestling. Stop it. Apollo Crews is not a tag team guy. Apollo Crews is a singles guy that you're parading around as a tag team guy because you have no fucking tag teams. I don't like it. Isaiah Scott is not a tag team wrestler. He's good enough to be an Intercontinental, a U.S. champion. He has a lot of potential to be at the top of the card. Why do you want to hide that in a tag team? Do you look at Shotzi Blackheart as a heel? I don't. I look at Shotzi Blackheart as a fun-loving, green-haired, heavy metal chick who wants to go out there and have a fucking good time. I don't look at Shotzi Blackheart as a heel. Xia Li? Has WWE ever pushed any Chinese-born talent on their show? I feel like Xia Li was only called up to the main roster because of the country that she represents. I feel like this is more of a political move instead of looking at Xia Li wanting to willingly use her because you think she's a great professional wrestler or has a great look. Xia Li being called up to the main roster is 1,000% a political move. WWE wanted a Chinese-born talent on the main roster for the simple fact that they can go on social media and parade around, oh, look, we got the first ever woman Chinese-born superstar on SmackDown. Great. It doesn't mean anything to me if she's not being used correctly. WWE and their political agendas, man, they take first and foremost center stage over everything else. It's sad. Tegan Nox, we'd be lucky if she even makes the fucking show. I don't give a fuck what role she plays. Get her on TV. Same thing with Mia Yim. It's great to talk about these names, but how many of these names have had anything to do in the last several months? Nothing. None of them. It's great to talk about. Stop talking and execute. Get them on TV first, and then maybe I will care. Backstage confrontation between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair after SmackDown went off the air. This is the big story that everybody's talking about. I mentioned this on Friday night when I was live. Everything just looked a little weird. The whole dropping of the title with Sonya Deville telling Charlotte to pick it up. Becky throwing her championship at Charlotte looked as if it was almost not a part of the script. Now we come to learn, after watching all of this unfold, that some of that was not planned. Vince McMahon was unhappy. Charlotte Flair was unhappy. Becky Lynch was unhappy. Sonya Deville had to break character live on TV. Sasha Banks may or may not have been sent out there to right the ship. We don't really know. Who knows? We don't know what's going on. At the end of the day, all of us could be wrong, and this could be WWE playing the fact up that Becky and Charlotte have a match coming up at the Survivor Series because they are both champions on Raw and SmackDown, and they may be playing all of this up to build a Survivor Series match that nobody cares about, and they're trying to generate interest in yet another Charlotte and Becky Lynch match that we've seen 1,000 times before, November 21 in Brooklyn at Survivor Series. But the story goes, let's start from the very beginning. SmackDown went off the air, and Andrade was tweeting after his spectacular match with Pac on Rampage last night, tweeted, F-U ... WWE. Nobody knew in that moment what that meant. Now, after Rampage went off the air, we saw Cody Rhodes and Andrade and Malachi Black all in the same segment. I didn't know what was going on with that tweet. I don't know why he sent that out immediately after Rampage went off the air. I was thinking maybe it has something to do with a storyline that they're going to be bringing to the table, because all I was thinking in that moment was Malachi Black and Andrade, two guys that were on WWE TV not too long ago. Now they're on AEW television. Two guys that should have been two of the faces of WWE now on AEW television. Maybe it was something to do with a storyline that's these guys are going to be involved in on AEW television. I didn't really think much of it. I knew the Charlotte and Becky Lynch segment with swapping the titles was embarrassing, and I knew something felt off about it, but I didn't think his tweet correlated with what happened over there. Now we know that it had everything to do with what WWE did to Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch in that segment. So they got a confrontation backstage after Friday night's episode went off the air. PWInsider.com reported the news early Saturday morning, and per the report, the issue was after Flair was said to have voiced concerns to WWE management before the show went on the air regarding the segment where the two champions were to exchange the women's titles. As for Flair, who was the Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown's champion was Becky Lynch. So they swapped the championships because they got traded to the opposite brands. So Flair reportedly made her case to not be booked to look weak and she didn't want her title reign to look weak during that segment. The segment went on as scheduled with no changes made. During the segment, there was a moment where Flair was to hand the belt to Becky Lynch, but she pulled it away and threw it on the mat instead, which wasn't planned. So Becky went to reach for the championship, and I'm assuming she was supposed to grab the championship from Charlotte's hand, and then they were supposed to exchange championships. But Charlotte, instead of handing it and letting go of the championship so Becky Lynch could take it, she threw it to the side, which I'll talk about in a second, because it looks like the championships mean jack shit after they just kind of threw the Raw Women's Championship to the ground. And then Becky threw her championship at Charlotte, which also hit the ground as well, and Charlotte just let it fall to the mat. Now, Sonya Deville demanded Flair to pick up the title, give it to Lynch, which Flair did. When Lynch was asked to hand over her title, like I said, Lynch threw her title at Charlotte Flair. This was also not a part of the plan. The segment got back to being planned and went on track when Sasha Banks came out. So I'm assuming Sasha Banks, according to this report, was always scheduled to be involved in this segment, being that Charlotte is now the SmackDown champion and Sasha Banks is clearly the number one contender for this title, or the top name on this brand for the title, which I have no interest in seeing yet another Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks match, but I'll save that for a rainy day. Once the show went off the air, there was a confrontation between Lynch and Flair backstage over Flair allegedly disrespecting Lynch by trying to make her look bad. There were also loud words exchanged between the two. Now, Talk Sport and Alex McCarthy report that there was supposed to be a cat and mouse situation with Lynch getting her hands on the Raw Women's Championship before Flair pulled it back, but a timing error led to the title being dropped on the floor, which was not supposed to happen. The women in the ring, including Sonya Deville, were not happy because they knew Sasha Banks still needed to walk out to the ring as the show was about to end. After the show is when things got heated backstage between Lynch and Flair. Talk Sport also reports that there are issues that go back a few years, and Flair did not appreciate being called plastic during a promo from Becky Lynch a couple of years ago. It was said that there was unhappiness from both women about the title exchange segment, and there was a debate about it throughout the day. Talk Sport also added that Flair pushed to lose the Raw Women's Championship to Bianca Belair on Raw this Monday because she is a big fan of Belair, and her belief was that this could have been a big win for Bianca Belair. Vince McMahon was also said to be unhappy backstage because Flair left the gorilla position without talking to him. She walked out, took the first chance she could to go to Orlando and go to AEW Dynamite to support Andrade, who will be on tonight's show. All of this may explain last night's tweet from Andrade, where he said, and I quote again, F-U-W-W-E. There's a lot to unpack here. Let me start at the top. The segment last night on SmackDown was embarrassingly terrible. This all could have been avoided if WWE did one thing and one thing only. Merge the divisions. Book a unification match at Survivor Series. That's one of the things WWE could have done. It's not the only thing that they could have done to spare this terrible segment. It was one of the things, and if I have anything to say about it, the best situation to possibly do in this entire four-way battle for these two championships. Sasha, Bianca, Becky, and Charlotte at Survivor Series. There's two on one brand, there's two on the other. You got both championships on the line. Clearly, the Raw title can't be on SmackDown. The SmackDown title can't be on Raw. Just do a winner-take-all unification match at Survivor Series. Even the opponents in the match would have made sense and played into the Raw versus SmackDown theme. That's number one. Merging the divisions needs to be something that WWE really looks at and explores. These divisions are terrible. There is no consistency at all in these divisions. You need to get out of the mentality that Charlotte, Bianca, Bayley, Becky, Sasha, and Alexa Bliss are the only females that you should be pushing on WWE TV. Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, Mia Yim, Toni Storm. You got Aaliyah, Xia Li coming in there. Asuka's coming back. Where are the other women? Naomi. Where are the Liv Morgan? Where are the other women on this show, and why aren't they getting opportunities? I think a merging of the divisions would absolutely do that. It would force WWE to merge the Raw and SmackDown women's titles, make one title for the top. Meanwhile, everybody else is fighting to get to that top spot. Wins, momentum, and consistency is what would bring everybody up to the next level. Additionally, I've said this for years. Having two championships, just like the men's championships in the tag team division, just like a WWE and Universal Championship on both shows, more championships means less value for all other championships. How could you go on and feel like Charlotte Flair is important on SmackDown and Becky Lynch is important on Monday Night Raw if they're both champions? You think the women like that? I get that this is a team effort. But at the end of the day, you're going to get this competitive nature that resulted in something like this. How can Charlotte really claim to be the best of all time when she's got somebody who is her equal on SmackDown in Becky Lynch having the same championship? They realistically hold the same championship and realistically share the top spot in WWE. There's no real number one woman in WWE. So how can you go out there and claim to be the best? There should be one champion for an entire division. That's it. The more championships that you have, the less everything else is going to matter and mean. The division suffers, the titles suffer, the entire brand suffers. This is what I've been saying for years. And I would love to know what these women think about that. I'm pretty sure that they're probably in the same boat that I'm in. Merge the divisions and unify the championships. Now, per the report, the issue was after Flair had voiced concerns to management before the show went on the air regarding the segment where the two champions exchanged their championships. They voiced concerns for management or to management about this situation. They themselves knew it was wrong. But Charlotte Flair was the only one in this report. I'm not sure if Becky Lynch voiced concerns. To me, I don't see Becky Lynch really giving a shit as long as it benefits her. But in this case, the oddball out of all of this, Charlotte Flair voiced concerns to management that this sucked. Now, I don't know who management is. I don't know who she went to. I don't know if she went to John Laurinaitis or Bruce Pritchard or somebody else. I don't know. Ed Koskey. I don't know who she went to. Being that Vince McMahon is a fucking shadow in this company backstage and nobody knows where the fuck he is on the day of the shows, I doubt she went to Vince McMahon. But Charlotte Flair, of all people, is voicing concern about this situation. That says a lot. If she thinks it's wrong, then you know it's fucking wrong because this woman is as greedy as they come. This woman is as self-centered as they come. But at the end of the day, how much pull does Charlotte Flair have now that her father is fired, Andrade is fired, right? Her fiance. How much pull does Charlotte Flair have now in WWE? 3 or 4 years ago, if Charlotte Flair wanted something, Charlotte Flair would have been rewarded without a fucking word. Nobody would have hesitated to give Charlotte Flair what she wanted, or if Charlotte Flair wanted to go in a different direction, Charlotte Flair's word would have been taken as top priority. Now that Charlotte Flair pretty much had a huge hand in giving Andrade his early release from a 90-day non-compete clause, you think Charlotte Flair is going to have any more pull like she used to have back in the day? WWE is probably thinking, who the fuck do you think you are? After all of the battle that had probably gone on between that and Ric Flair and her medical history, the report that WWE mistakenly thought that she was pregnant, kept her off of WrestleMania. Who the fuck knows what happened, man, and what type of concerns she voiced and what type of demands and threats she made Is Charlotte Flair's voice and opinion going to matter now after she's been so defiant to WWE in the past 6 to 9 months? I don't think so. But when Charlotte Flair is actively speaking up and voicing concerns about this, out of all the people in the company, if she's saying that it's wrong, it's probably fucking wrong. I'd love to know what Becky Lynch thought of this segment and if she spoke up as well. Now, Flair didn't want to look weak. I don't blame Charlotte Flair for not wanting to look weak. She's a champion. The championship doesn't really matter in WWE. The championship looks weak. But Charlotte wants to remain strong. And the reason why she wants to remain strong is because everything that you've done up until last night's show, everything was irrelevant. You erased everything that happened. Charlotte versus Bianca, waste of everybody's time. A waste of everybody's time. Sasha versus Becky, a waste of everybody's time. Bianca versus Becky, a waste of everybody's time. Everything was a waste of television time for the last 3 or 4 weeks. She did not want to look weak at all. She didn't want to look weak. Can you blame her? She wants to make the championship important. It seems like WWE is not giving her the opportunity, or Becky Lynch, to make the championship feel important. Now, Flair was to hand the belt to Lynch. She pulled it away, threw it on the mat instead, which wasn't planned. Sonya Deville demanded Flair to give the title back to Lynch, which Flair did. Lynch was asked to hand over the title, and instead she threw her title at Charlotte Flair. This sounds like it stems from whatever these two have a problem about. 2 years ago, apparently Becky Lynch called Charlotte Flair plastic. It took 1 month, I believe she said on social media 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It took 1 month for me to come back from this. And you saw a picture of Becky Lynch with the bloody nose. Nia Jax broke her face. And it took her 1 month or 2 months to come back from, and Becky Lynch tweeted a picture of Charlotte's chest. So clearly Charlotte Flair is having anger issues and anger problems stemming from this Becky Lynch tweet 2 or 3 years ago. So whose problem is that? So I'm not going to blame WWE on that. That's on Charlotte Flair, and that's on Becky Lynch for getting catty and petty and taking their real-life fucking problems and airing them out on national television. You made an embarrassment of not only the company, you made an embarrassment of not only the fucking Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, but you made an embarrassment out of yourself because you are supposed to be professional, and in that moment you weren't professional, and you showed everybody how unprofessional you really are. So instead of going to the back and talking about this, I don't know, before the fucking segment aired, no, you want to do it on national television and make an embarrassment of everything, including the women's division. Then there was a confrontation backstage over Flair allegedly disrespecting Lynch by trying to make her look bad. Then TalkSport is going into detail about a few years back, the plastic comment, and Charlotte Flair wanted to drop the Raw Women's title to Bianca Belair this past Monday. My mind was blown when I was reading this. Charlotte Flair wanted to do the right thing? Bruce and Vince and all these fucking idiots in WWE Creative, all of this could have spared you embarrassment if Charlotte dropped the championship to Bianca and had Bianca take the title to Raw and Charlotte goes to SmackDown, okay? Bianca could have been the Raw Women's Champion and she would have been over by beating Charlotte by winning the championship. And then Becky could have dropped the SmackDown championship to Sasha Banks, and Sasha could have went to SmackDown by winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. You could have avoided all of this by simply booking professional wrestling matches and winners in both of these situations. WWE did not do that. They opted to do a swapping of the championship, which makes the championships look weak. It looks fucking stupid. And WWE is always in a position where they're making themselves look fucking stupid because the people running this show are being spearheaded by a 76-year-old fucking senile fuck in Vince McMahon and a circus of yes men and Bruce Prichard and everybody else saying, okay, yeah, yes. Blow me. All of this could have been saved. You know what would have actually saved this? You know what would have actually spared all of this? If Charlotte and Becky were not a part of the draft. Has anybody ever asked why champions are part of the fucking draft? Why do we need branded championships to go to the opposite brand? Now, if you wanted to do a WWE and Universal title switch, fine. Fine. You got the red Universal title sitting somewhere in the fucking warehouse. Number one. If you wanted to bring back the red championship, you could do that to accommodate the red Raw brand, okay? I don't mind if those championships switch brands, but that wasn't going to happen because Roman Reigns isn't going anywhere. Fox is not letting Roman Reigns go. So why were they even a part of the draft based on that aspect? Why are the Raw and SmackDown women's and tag team champions a part of the fucking draft when they are tied down to their brand based on the championships that they hold? Does nobody think about that going into the draft? You caused this chaos because you are fucking stupid. Number one. Goes way back to before the draft. Then I hear Charlotte wanted to drop the title to Bianca Belair. Becky Lynch should have dropped the title to Sasha Banks. Why didn't you just book winners and losers and have those women take those championships back to their individual brands, respective brands, instead of swapping the titles like you're changing fucking underwear or you're exchanging recipes? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand it. You could have spared all of this by simply not booking terrible television. The one question I have out of all of this is Charlotte wanted to put Bianca Belair. Where was this Charlotte Flair when she was wrestling Rhea Ripley? Now, she wants to put Bianca over, but apparently she doesn't like Rhea Ripley and didn't want to help Rhea Ripley get over. No, she opted to bury Rhea Ripley. What's the difference between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley? I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out. It's not that difficult to see what the difference is. Give me a break. Vince McMahon was said to be unhappy backstage because Flair left Gorilla Position without talking to him. Oh, I'm sorry, Vince, you're unhappy? How the fuck do you think we feel every single fucking week watching your circus? Vince McMahon's unhappy. We're unhappy that the segment was booked like shit. We're unhappy that you swapped titles like you're exchanging Betty Crocker recipes. Book better television. And there's nothing for you to be upset about at that point. He was unhappy. Give me a break. I wish Charlotte Flair would have said something to Vince McMahon. She wants to voice her unpleasure to WWE management. We don't know who WWE management is. You tell something to management, they're not going to go tell Vince McMahon because it's not going to fit into his fucking agenda. Why are they going to go to Vince McMahon knowing the answer before they even go there? Charlotte and Becky need to go to the source. Where's this energy about why it's so wrong and why you don't want to do it or why you don't think it's right? Go to the source. I don't give a shit what you're unhappy about. If you're unhappy, you go tell the man in charge. You don't go tell Bruce Pritchard because nothing is going to get accomplished at that point. Charlotte Flair, I said this, and this is something that is really being seen and felt by a lot of different people, man. If Charlotte Flair is this upset, and I've seen it, all you have to do is watch this woman. There have been several weeks where this woman just wrestles as if she's going through the motions, almost as if she doesn't want to be there. She's been off. Her work rate has been off. The storylines have been terrible. I actually feel for Charlotte Flair because she knows most of what she's been given is shit. All of those women, I would bet my life savings, most of these women, some of them don't care. It sounds like Becky Lynch doesn't even fucking give a shit here. Becky's only out for Becky. Most of these women look at this women's division and this women's revolution as a fucking farce. They know that it's being booked into the fucking ground. Most of them are unhappy and they have to do what they're told because this is controlled by Bruce and Vince. And if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. If you don't like it, you're not on television. It's almost as if they're held hostage. They're in a position where they almost willingly have to accept what they're given just to get on TV because they're not getting any of it to begin with. But Charlotte Flair, I said this about Sasha Banks. You don't think Sasha Banks would explore leaving WWE? Knowing that woman and what she wants to do in this industry and how much she loves wrestling, she would absolutely explore leaving WWE. Charlotte Flair is being pulled at both ends here. WWE clearly doesn't want to lose Charlotte Flair, but can you blame the woman for being unhappy? You fired her fiancé and treated him like shit. That is a reflection on what they think of Charlotte Flair. They fired her father. For whatever reason, I don't remember what the reason was. Maybe he was upset by the way they were booking her daughter or his daughter. He was upset by the way they were booking his daughter, Charlotte Flair. So they fired him. You don't think that resonates with Charlotte Flair? You don't think she's unhappy knowing that her family, who is very important to her, is fired and just cast off in Vince McMahon's eyes? How Andrade is one of the best professional wrestlers on the face of the earth? Just let him go? How many blood, sweat, and tears and years Ric Flair has given WWE just to be fired because he's speaking up about how his daughter is being treated creatively? Go. They let him go. They fired him. All the reports saying Ric Flair walked away from guaranteed money. No, he didn't. He was fired. You think this sits well with Charlotte Flair? No, it don't. That woman is unhappy, and I guarantee you when her contract is up, there is going to be internal turmoil with Charlotte Flair and where WWE sees her in the company, and WWE going to want to lock her down. Right now, I would honestly tell you, I don't know these people from a hole in the wall, man. I would honestly tell you, if Charlotte Flair was a free agent, she would be more along the side of AEW and joining AEW than she would be for WWE at this point right now. And if someone like that leaves the WWE where they have already established themselves as a top-tier name, a face of the company, was pretty much handed a golden fucking plate of success before she even made the main roster. If someone like that walks away, you talk about a Kevin Owens or a Ricochet and all the independent talent being domino pieces leaving the WWE. Someone like that leaving the women's division in WWE that's been paraded around as all revolutionary, that is the biggest domino piece that would allow everything behind it to fall. If Charlotte leaves, what does that mean for Sasha Banks? If Charlotte finds success in AEW, what does that mean for Sasha Banks? She knows she'll be able to go anywhere and be successful if Charlotte Flair has pretty much set the trail for them to follow. This is a major story that might not seem like it. It might seem petty and catty, but this is much deeper than what is being reported right now. Much deeper. And at the end of the day, WWE is 100% to blame here. WWE needs to start listening to their fucking talent. Not everything that comes from that management side is correct. Management needs to start listening to the fucking talent. They're the ones out there listening and feeling that fucking crowd. Start listening to people like Charlotte and Becky and everybody else in this fucking company that has a great opinion that wants nothing more than to have a better product on television. WWE seemingly doesn't care. Start booking better television. That segment could have been completely avoided if you did what I told you on Thursday night. Fuck this draft. Fuck this brand split. Fuck it. I am so over the fucking NBC and Fox bullshit. Fuck this draft. It is actively the ruination of WWE television. Matches every week, same shit every week, fucking rematches every week. I'm fucking done. I'm done. All you needed to do was book these 4 women in a unification match and everybody would have been happy and excited. And the women's division would have been better off for it. Instead of you embarrass Charlotte, Becky, the division, and the fucking titles, and you just made an embarrassment out of everything. Ridiculous. WWE should be fucking ashamed of themselves. They are 100% to blame for what happened on Friday night. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast today, this extra today. Make sure you guys go out there and hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And go check out all the other content if you missed anything on the channel so far this week. Remember, I will be live tonight with Jesse on Off The Script for AEW Dynamite. Saturday Night Dynamite live from the venue. And I may be back with some more breaking news tomorrow. If anything else comes out about this situation, I'll be right back here on Sunday to cover it for you guys right here on OTS, as I always do. Go Braves! Let's do it tonight. Please don't bring it to a Game 7. I don't think my heart can handle it. Hopefully we clinch it in ATL tonight. And until then, guys, I will see you tonight back in the venue for AEW Dynamite. Jesse and I for Off The Script. I'll see you guys later.